Welcome friends to another r/AmITheJerk video. We're gonna answer a lot of tough questions here today, but the first one is, could you hit the like and subscribe buttons down below? That said, our first story of the day is by Linpa QNZIA. Am I the jerk for making my wife think our son was missing? My wife has a horrible habit that I discovered 2 months ago. We were ordering lunch on the Subway app, and I told her to pick out the location that has a drive-thru. That way we don't have to go inside and take the baby out of the car, just to clip him back in a few minutes later. She told me it's not a big deal to leave the baby in the car, to run in and pick it up really fast. I had no idea she ever did this. I told her I was not comfortable with her leaving him in the car alone even for a minute, and she told me she's been doing it since he was born, and it's always been fine. She told me she does it to pick up food, run into the post office or pharmacy, etc. I was floored. We don't live in a horrible area, but it's also not super safe either. I told her to not ever do this again. She told me she never stopped to think about the potential dangers and that she would stop doing it. Well, yesterday, as I was driving home from my brother's house, I spotted her car at the gas station near our place. It was parked in a spot up front and not a pump, so I figured she stopped in to grab some snacks, which we like to do. I decided to stop and go in and say hi and get some food, and I pulled in and parked next to her. However, when I got there, I was furious to find our son in his car seat. The car wasn't even locked. I don't know what came over me, but in that moment, I decided to take my son and put him into my car. He's got a car seat in there too. I then drove to the other side of the gas station parking lot and waited for my wife to come out. It took 6 minutes for her to appear. When she saw that he was gone, she looked stunned for a second and then started to frantically look around and cry. I didn't let it go on long. After this, I saw her pull her phone out, presumably to call 911. And that's when I pulled my car around to her. I parked, got out, and walked around to my son's door and opened it to show him to her. She looked extremely relieved, but that quickly turned to anger with her asking me why I took him and did that to her. I told her she needed to learn her lesson, and she promised to stop leaving him in the car, and that she was extremely irresponsible. It was so easy for me to pull up and take him. No one else at the gas station even noticed. So if he was really taken, there would have been no help, and it would have been 100% her fault. She proceeded to call me cruel and psychotic, and tried taking her own son out of my car into hers. I said no and that I would be driving him home, and I left. She came home not much later, but ignored me the rest of the day. She acknowledged me today, saying she wanted an apology, and I said absolutely not, and she's the one who should be saying sorry. She's been guilt-tripping me the rest of the day, saying no mother should experience the fear I put her through. Did I go too far? Am I the jerk? It might have been maybe a little over-dramatic, but I think OP's not the jerk. Considering to leave the car running with the AC on, you have to leave the keys in the car. Imagine all the times it's a hot day outside, they leave the car on, so they leave the car doors unlocked with the kid just sitting there. Like, I'm sorry that you had to experience that level of fear, but maybe you had to experience that level of fear to finally understand. Do you guys think giving this mom the scare of her lifetime like that was too much? Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Our next story is by DH Dad. Am I the jerk for bringing my daughter to family-only events? So for background, I, 43-year-old male, have 2 kids. I have a 17-year-old son with my first wife. We split amicably when he was little. I then got married to my late wife. We were married for 4 years before she passed away from breast cancer a little over 2 years ago. She had a daughter from a previous relationship, Anna, who's 14. Anna was 8 when her mom and I got married and does not have a relationship with her birth father. I've always considered her my daughter, and I legally adopted her shortly before my wife died. It's worth mentioning my late wife and Anna are both Asian, so Anna and I look nothing alike, but she's every bit my real child as my son is. My niece recently got married in a really small ceremony, family only. They never sent out formal invites, but when I last called my niece, she said she was excited to see my son and I at the wedding. So I took that to mean I would be bringing my kids. Day of the wedding comes, my kids and I arrive, and soon after, I notice some of my relatives staring. After the ceremony, my sister-in-law, niece's mom, comes to talk to me and says something to the effect of, "This was only meant to be for family," while gesturing at my daughter. I was shocked when she said this and told her that Anna is my daughter and therefore family. She kept insisting, "You know what I mean." And at that point, I had had enough and left the reception early and took the kids home. My niece called me a few weeks later. I was assuming to apologize for her mother's behavior, which she did sort of do, but she also asked me if I could just watch what sort of family events I bring Anna to in the future, since she's not actually a blood relative. She mentioned last summer when we had a small family gathering, which I brought Anna to, some of our relatives were uncomfortable. I tried as calmly as I could to tell her that Anna is family regardless of whether we're related by blood, and that I'm legally her father and guardian. But I'm honestly baffled that my family would even request something like this or be uncomfortable by it. Absolutely not the jerk. They're literally your daughter. You adopted them. They're your family. Honestly, while I don't want to go around just flinging accusations, some of the stuff coming from their camp sounds borderline racist. Uncomfortable about a legally adopted 14-year-old girl? I'm sorry, what? They have to be blood relatives, so don't bring your wives or husbands. Those aren't blood relatives, unless you really got a situation going on. This next story is by Put Up Your Paws. Am I the jerk for ruining a small business after they try to steal my dog? Yeah, I know this is crazy. I wish it were fake. Anyways, I'm decompressing and need a judgment because friends and family are split, and now I'm feeling guilty. I'm expecting my first kid soon. I'm 8.5 months pregnant. And I didn't want to do the usual bathing and nail trims on our dogs as my mobility is limited. We used to have a groomer we took them to a few times a year while I did monthly maintenance in between, but they closed during the pandemic, so we decided to try a new one. I have 2 purebred dogs that came from a rescue, and both have had, now managed, behavioral issues since I adopted them. My Great Dane loves people and has been around small children before with no issues, but he is terrified of other dogs. He's never hurt another dog, but he will bark and get fearful if one runs up to him if I haven't been able to brace him. And so of course, since he's so big, he looks very scary when he's barking. Our Corgi, on the other hand, has severe separation anxiety and doesn't mind dogs or people, but hates being left home alone or being away from me specifically. Our old groomer let me come in with the dogs, but the new groomer said I wasn't allowed on the phone. I talked through my dog's problems with her, and she assured me she could handle it. I even paid for an extra half hour so my Dane would have time to get out without running into her next client. Since I wasn't allowed to come in, and it's usually harder on the Corgi leaving me than leaving my husband, he decided to drop them off. He mentioned to the woman, home run groomer, I was expecting when he dropped the dogs off, and apparently she gave a bit of a face but said nothing. When he went to pick the dogs up, she gave him our Corgi but said she was seizing the Dane as he'd been aggressive to one of her dogs. I was assured he wouldn't be subjected to strange dogs at all, and as we were expecting a baby, she couldn't give us back a reactive dog. There isn't enough to the character limit to detail what the next 7 hours were like, but it escalated to me calling the cops to finally get my dog back. It was the worst experience. I ended up blasting her business on social media in the heat of things, and I think something also happened with the police, as all her pages were down the next day. Seems like she's closed completely. I really feel like my reaction was justified, but some friends have called me a mega Karen, and my mom said she was probably just genuinely trying to look out for our unborn baby and I went too far, but to me, it was a huge overstep and illegal. I've worked in rescue and worked with progressional trainers with these dogs, and if anyone had said they posed a threat, it would have been different. But as mentioned, they have no history of aggression to people, and as with any dog, will never be left unsupervised with our baby or have access to them at all without safeguards anyways. Am I the jerk? As I've said many times in the past, I'm a devout dog lover. If that was my Great Dane, I would go straight to the cops almost immediately. If you try to do some citizen's arrest on my dog trying to look out for me and my best interests, even when I'm telling you, give me my dog back, I'm definitely going straight to the police. Opie's definitely not a jerk. This next story is by Throwaway Job 49. Am I the jerk for being upset with my son for finding a job without telling me? My son is 18. He's going to be attending community college and is living with me, my husband, and his 2 younger half-sisters. The other day, I found out that he found and accepted a job without telling me. I was upset with him about it, and the reason for that is, first of all, he should have told me since we live in the same house. And also, and more importantly, now I'm left without someone to stay with the girls from 3 to 8 where my shift starts and ends. My son's usually the one to stay home with the girls and his new job's during these hours, so one way or another, we are impacted. He told me his friend found him this job and it just happened, but I don't think it did because he knew he had to give up staying with his sisters while I work. My husband travels most of the time, he's a pilot, and paid childcare is a no for me. My son said I shouldn't be surprised by him trying to work to save money to be able to pay for himself, but that's just absurd since he literally lives with us without having to pay for anything except for his own entertainment. He said he needed the job and he wasn't realistically going to stay and watch his sisters for days on end, especially if he doesn't get paid for it. We kept arguing and my husband got involved and he too was upset, saying that my son had no respect for us. My son basically had a like it or not attitude with us and kept refusing to discuss this with us, saying we have no right to be upset with him and should just accept it. But I think he's being inconsiderate of my husband and I's struggle to provide for the family as a whole. This should mean something to him, but he acted selfishly. While I'm definitely willing to not doubt that OP and their husband probably do put in a lot of considerable work, probably work pretty decent hours to try and provide for their kids, take care of their kids. Despite that, it's not one of your kids' responsibilities to watch your other kids. And I think it's unfair to try to create this expectation that they have to be saddled with that, rather than allowing them to actually enter the workforce, make money for themselves, and prepare themselves to further their life. So I would say OP is the jerk. Our next story is by ThrowRA Sister 6566. Am I the jerk for telling my cousin and her husband they should consider stopping their IVF treatment? I'm female 28, my cousin Lauren, female 35, and her husband have been struggling with having kids and are suffering from health issues. They've begun IVF treatment, which is expensive where I live. So far, they've had several rounds, but no luck. They visited on my mom's birthday yesterday. We don't see each other much now, but mom tells me about how they're doing in general. We were conversing at dinner and the IVF got brought up. Lauren said she and her husband are about to undergo another round of IVF. Everyone at the table said a prayer and wished them luck, but I told Lauren that after spending this much money, and after already having undergone several rounds in addition to other factors contributing to their infertility issues, she should really consider stopping IVF and taking a break, and also saving money. Lauren and her husband looked offended. Lauren then said that they aren't struggling with money, so it's okay. I explained that they might not be struggling now, but will be in the future, seeing they'd spent thousands and wasted money for no benefits, while they could have financially helped some struggling family with kids. Lauren got quiet. I stated that this was just my own opinion after all. Lauren's husband looked at me grudgingly and said, I think you should just mind your own business and keep your opinion to yourself. From there, the argument ensued. I told him he was being disrespectful, and he kept talking back. Shortly after, he and Lauren left. Mom started asking me why I caused a scene on her birthday. I said we were just talking, but Lauren and her husband blew this way out of proportion. Mom said that I had zero say in anyone's reproductive choice and should have kept my mouth shut. My sister, who rarely agrees with me, sided with me saying I was good, but Mom's insisting I call Lauren and apologize to her. My husband too sided with me and told me to give it a few days and Lauren will call. I see Lauren as my sister and I respect her, but we have our moments. Am I the jerk in this situation? So, in this situation, I do see OP as the jerk. Whether or not you think they can afford it, whether or not you think logistically it's smart for them to make that decision, they've expressed their desire to do it. So you saying, well, you're gonna go broke, you could spend that money on other people, while it might be your opinion, you telling them is basically just kind of more or less saying to their faces, I think you're doing something stupid. While you might believe that is wholeheartedly true, they said that it's what they want to do, and you telling them that to their faces after the fact, I think is a pretty blunt jerk move. And our final story of the day is by username XX65464. Am I the jerk for calling my wife a bad host for not including me and my coworkers in dinner? Yesterday, I, male 33, had a couple of coworkers come over to work on an important project. We were way behind schedule and needed every minute we could to complete the project. We lost track of time, and my coworkers ended up staying till 9 p.m. My wife was home the entire day. My coworkers and I were so hungry, but I couldn't leave the office, so I texted my wife to ask if she could make us something to eat. Well, it turned out that at 7 p.m., she went into the kitchen and made burgers and fries for herself for dinner and didn't include me or my coworkers. I waited till my coworkers left and asked her why she didn't make us burgers, seeing how busy and exhausted and hungry we were. Her defense was that A, I didn't ask, B, I could have ordered from the restaurant if I needed, and C, she wouldn't find enough time or ingredients to make me and my coworkers burgers and fries. I told her it was just 3 of us, me and other 2 coworkers, so that's just an excuse. I called her a bad host, but she argued that those were my guests, not hers, but I insisted it's her house too, and she could have been a bit generous. But she had this, I don't know any one time or favors attitude the entire argument. She just threw her hands up and walked out. I think that it wouldn't have affected her to include me and my coworkers in dinner, but instead made me look bad and acted selfishly. She still sees nothing wrong with what she did, even after I reversed the roles. Am I the jerk? I'm gonna say OP is the jerk, but I think the issue more or less is a fundamental communication thing. I feel like OP's going on and on about something that they personally perceive as a slight, that being that they felt they were intentionally ignored or overlooked when the wife made dinner, while it very well could have been something that the wife just thought differently about. She probably saw them busy and thought, oh, they'll probably just order something, or they're too busy, I won't want to bother them. And especially considering OP brought them over, it's not the wife's responsibility to take care of them. That house thing doesn't make any sense to me. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. So of all these stories I've read today, which is your favorite and why? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you haven't yet, if you could like and subscribe, that would mean a lot to me. Whatever you do, whether it's liking, subscribing, turning notifications on, all of it helps grow this channel, and I appreciate the heck out of it. So until next time, I'll see you all tomorrow with some more stories.